Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Dallas-Fort Worth. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Jacob Van Loon and Ben Stark. Is he ranked number one? Yeah, ranked number one in the world.
The number one.
For some reason I thought he was two, but he's number one in the world versus Tad Macaraeg. Now, both of these players are sitting 11, 2, and 1. We were thinking this would be a win and in for top 8, but you think it might not be?
There's a chance it's not.
Okay,
I mean,
so we'll keep that in mind.
They're they can make top 8 with a win, but it's definitely not guaranteed.
Okay.
That was the information that was passed along to us originally, but after looking at the standings, that's not the case. So.
Okay, good to know. So possible top 8 berth for either player here, though things are starting off poorly for Ben Stark. He's got a nice draw with double Dryad Militant and a Scryland, but Pack Rat on turn 2 from Tad Macaraeg is threatening to take over this board in short order. Ooh, but it's a tapped land here for him.
Interesting here that now we're seeing that this green splash is kind of punishing Tad a little bit.
It is. Now
punishing him just a tad, but that's...
Tad's on mono black. I got it. Tad's on mono black with a little bit of green for abrupt decay, mainly in the main board here.
That Temple of Mystery, a pretty cool inclusion in these green-black, base-black Devotion decks. It lets you play another source of green mana that can also tap for Night Veil Spectre mana. So you play this card that essentially costs triple black mana, and you don't really want to be playing cards that don't tap for the correct colors unless they're Mutavaults. So
right.
Temple of Mystery solves that issue.
All right, speaking of Mutavault. Activate Mutavault. That's going to save Pack Rat, and wow! Main deck Golgari Charm destroys Ben Stark's entire board, even allows him to get in for a couple of points of damage here. But Ben does get to rebuild with Daring Skyjack and Soldier of the Pantheon, but that has just got to be a backbreaker if you're sitting in Ben Stark's seat.
It's
Game
huge. I mean, Tad has only played 2 cards from his hand so far, and he's already ahead.
Right.
I mean...
Speaking of ahead, here comes, no way, another Golgari Charm. Ben Stark remembers to gain a life, but that's just unbelievable. He gets a 3-for-1 and then a 2-for-1. How is Ben Stark supposed to recover from that?
It doesn't seem like it's very likely. So
Ben is trying to decide how he wants to cast. Well, he's going to cast the Orzhov Charm to take out the Pack Rat and then follow up. So at least he has the Pack Rat problem solved. But, wow, another one off the top for Tad. Not to mention removal spell plus Night Veil Spectre. This is just going to get out of hand so quickly. So Tad Macaraeg looks to be in a great spot here very early in Game 1 after resolving 2 main deck Golgari Charms back-to-back to just blow out Ben Stark and leave Ben with nary a threat on the board, though Mutavault's still there, and now he also finds a Precinct Captain. He does have Tad down to 10.
Yeah, but I mean, he can't even block this Pack Rat if it attacks, and he can't attack into it either.
Yep, and Tad says, land go.
I mean, the thing is that Tad could make another Pack Rat and then activate his Mutavault, and then his Pack Rat becomes a 3-3 and just gobbles that Precinct Captain right up.
That's right. All right, Boros Elite off the top, and this is where things get miserable if you're Ben Stark. You're now drawing 1/1s.
Yep.
And every draw step is good for Tad. He has a Pack Rat. Now he has 2 Pack Rats in play, and things snowball from here. The pendulum has officially swung. It only took a 2-for-1, a 3-for-1, and 2 Pack Rats, but
and it's pretty crazy. Like had Tad Macaraeg had just normal removal spells in those spots instead of Golgari Charms, Ben would have completely ran him over.
Yes.
Ben would have just crushed him this game.
That's
so
right.
Splashing green, good choice by Tad. It definitely won him this match.
And obviously an awesome draw.
Or this game, rather.
An awesome draw from Ben Stark, but completely nullified by Tad's 2 Golgari Charms. What do you think about Golgari Charm in the main deck? I haven't seen that yet today.
I mean, it's a very powerful card. It counters Supreme Verdict and things like that, essentially, by regenerating your whole team when they try to knock out a team of Pack Rats or something like that. It also, it's insane against these aggressive decks.
Yeah, speaking of insane against aggressive decks, Whip of Erebos for Tad Macaraeg. Now, also an activated Mutavault, so these are all, what, 4/4 rats now?
Yeah, so he's looking to gain 12 life with this attack.
Yeah. I think Ben will probably scoop after he reviews blocks. I mean, because even if he loses a rat or two here, the life gain is going to be huge and just really put things out of reach here, jumping back up to 22.
It's not going to be easy from here on out for Ben. Looking at the options here.
He's taking a quick look at the graveyard. I mean, Ben's going to get a little bit of information about what his opponent's up to. You know, looking at Tad's mana base, it's not exactly clear what he's up to, but if you get a chance to look at his graveyard, you know that he's on a mono-black but not mono-black list. Looks like Ben Stark took it all.
Yeah, so Tad probably up to 22, yep. Ben down to 3.
Yeah, so Ben has to, I mean, he needs so many things to go right for him here.
You think there's a chance?
No.
Yeah, I do
Just
not
no
either.
way. But he's going to attack anyway. And Tad just instantly takes all of it. Is this a Banisher Priest? It is. So that's going to kill a token. Well, there we go. You know, stems the bleeding a bit here at least.
Yeah, I mean, he can
The problem is that Tad...
block.
Yeah, he can block sort of, but Tad can just make another rat. And he's not even going to bother. So kill Banisher Priest, kill you, and that's the game. So Tad Macaraeg picks up game 1 in dominating fashion. I mean, he had some main deck cards that were absolutely excellent against Ben Stark. And I mean, Ben has got to be bummed to see double Golgari Charm in the main out of Tad and then have to wonder, well, what else is he going to bring in? Geez, I mean, and we can see on the screen here, he's got access to Abrupt Decay, which will kill anything on Ben Stark's side of the board, basically. 3 Farika's Cures, 3 Lifebane Zombie, another Golgari Charm.
Oh,
gosh.
Oh, man.
This is going to get ugly. So you got to look at Tad there. You see how he doesn't look particularly worried?
Yeah, playing against the actual best player on the planet.
Yes, and
no big
also
deal.
though
It's pretty
happens to
relaxed in
be-
the feature match area too.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice.
It seems to be that he has. This was probably his best matchup. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's insane.
He's gotta
Also,
be
his
happy
draw
there.
was ridiculous. So
Yes, his draw was very well positioned given the cards that Ben had drawn.
right. I mean, if his hand is all Thought Seizes and Underworld Connections, that game goes way differently. But
So we have 3 people who are guaranteed to be in the top 8 now.
Okay,
so we
so
can
who
talk
do we
about
got?
that a little bit. We have Hai Ming Hu, who is now definitely a top 8 competitor, probably first seed. Next, we have Seth Manfield, who's just coming off a top Grand Prix top 8 last weekend. He won a different Grand Prix earlier this year, and totally this year, this is going to be his 4th Grand Prix top 8 of the year.
So he's made a huge
Pretty
splash.
impressive stuff from Seth Manfield.
Maybe we should listen to Nate Price after all.
Yeah, Nate Price, a few weeks ago, Nate Price came up to us and told us that he believes Seth Manfield
That was months ago.
was that
He's
months
been
ago?
on the
Oh my
Seth
gosh.
Manfield. Yeah, Grand Prix Louisville. He was saying he was going to top 8. He didn't quite make it there,
That's
but
still single-digit weeks. But then Hall of Famer William Huey Jensen,
he's
also in the top 8
in
here.
the top 8 apparently because he was conceded to or something. So
Yeah, Seth Manfield, it turns out, coming in the last round of Swiss here, even with a loss, still guaranteed top 8. So Seth thinks to himself, all right, well, I'm playing against this Hall of Famer who has a huge amount of clout in the game. You know, this is definitely, I think it's worthwhile for him to make that concession because he has now another friend in the top 8, and he's just bought himself all of this positive goodwill from the whole Magic community that loves Huey.
you know what I would do?
So-
I would concede to Huey and be like, I want to beat you.
Wanna
In the
beat
top
you
8.
top
Yeah,
8?
like I want to beat the best. And then when he beats me, be like, that was a bad idea, wasn't it?
I goofed.
Who wants pizza? Yeah. Some of the other names at the top of the list here is as our opponents there are still sideboarding and shuffling. Darren Menard is sitting in third. Marlon Avila, we saw him before with his black-white control deck,
Yeah,
is
he's up
sitting
there.
in fourth. So he's in a prime position to win this match and be in the top 8 with his kind of sweet, full-on control list.
Interestingly enough, there's a chance, I don't know if he'll do it, but I think he and his opponent might be able to draw into top 8.
Okay. Charles
Depending
Lancaster
on what happens around them.
is in fifth. Carlos Becerra Reyes is in sixth. Eric Centauri, is in seventh. And then eighth is Huey. Ninth is Tad Macaraeg, who we're looking at on the screen here. And then Benjamin Stark, number 10. So
Yeah.
Josh Otter-Layton is hovering down on 33 points in 13th position. Stephen Mann, 17th. We saw him early. Oren Beasley's in 20th. This guy's name is Jonathan Slaughter. That is awesome. And he is in 21st.
I mean, the guy who's in 7th right now, his last name is Centauri.
Yeah.
They spelled like centaur.
Yeah.
So he's like a centaur. Centauri. Pretty good stuff, though. I think the winner of this match, likely in top 8, not guaranteed, but I think the chances are very good of the winner of this match making top 8.
So Ben Stark has
Above 60% for sure.
Okay. Ben Stark has a very, very steep hill to climb here, though. He's already down a game, which is bad enough on its own, but it looks like this matchup is a complete nightmare for him. Let's see if he has found a game plan post-board that's going to get him where he needs to be. Soldier of the Pantheon, turn 1. Scryland. Temple of Mystery for Tad. He's going to ship that card to the bottom. Draw step drops Ben Stark down to 16, but it does produce a precinct captain. So Tad Macaraeg's going to drop to 18, play a land, and let's see what he's got for this turn. He has Abrupt Decay on the precinct captain. He's going to main phase it to play around Brave the Elements, pass the turn back. And it looks like Ben Stark forgot his trigger. I saw him sort of give a shrug there, and I think he could have gained a life there from his soldier, but didn't do it. It happens. Even the number 1 player in the world
to the best of us, the actual best of us.
Yeah. If ever you see people, criticize people for making mistakes like that, just remember everybody does that. All right, Imposing Sovereign.
I think Golgari Charm.
For Tad, and there's a tapped pack rat thanks to the Sovereign. And here we go. So Ben Stark getting the attacks going. He plays his Atherid Necromancer post-combat. He's got 6 power on the board. Facing down a pack rat and a Mutavault. Uh-oh, what is this? A second pack rat. All right, he's just going to play it from his hand, and that makes the Mutavault... Oh, he can make his pack rat a 3/3 now. All right, seems reasonable. So I see in Ben Stark's hand, though, he's got an Orzhov charm. So if he takes down the pack rat that is untapped, that is going to clear the way for him to battle for 6, which is half of Tad's remaining life total and would bring him that much closer to victory. But he's not. He's going to attack with both. And what does he have? Oh, is he going to take out the other pack rat here?
He is.
So this is going to
Not only that, but
actually
he's also going to get a zombie.
Yes, he's going to get a zombie and kill both pack rats with this attack. So a nice setup there for Ben Stark, getting both pack rats off the table, getting a 2/2 zombie token, and even getting in for a couple of damage, and following up with the Daring Skyjack with Tad Macaraeg at 10. So great turn there for Ben. Completely wiped out Tad Macaraeg's board and has also put up a formidable board presence of his own.
Yeah, just 1 point off of lethal on the board right now for Ben Stark.
Tad has passed the turn
and
back.
that's a Spear of Heliod.
And that's game.
Yeah.
Wow, Ben Stark off to a blazing quick start. Those key sideboard cards weren't available there, or even main deck cards for Tad Macaraeg. And we have equalized. So these players right now are playing for a chance at the top 8 here in Dallas. Take a look at Ben. Yeah, you can see how awesome he is. He's just got a
4
laundry
Pro Tour
list.
top 8s.
Yeah, just
How many Grand Prix top
list.
8s? 12.
12. And looking to make lucky number 13.
Playing for his lucky 13th.
So, yeah.
This is
Each
Ben
player's
is
tied up.
pretty old school player. You know, he was he's our age. He's not an old man, but he was on the Pro Tour back when he was much younger, when he was just a child.
Yes, and then he wasn't playing for a while, and then he came back, and now he's been a fixture ever since.
Yeah, since he's come back, he has had like a meteoric rise to the top.
Yeah.
I think within a year of his return to the game, he was widely considered the best limited player in the world.
And still is.
Still is
by
to
a
this
lot
day.
of people. I mean, it's not. It's an argumented point. Like it's not. It's not just a clear cut. But I think if you ask most people, they would consider him that. He's an instrumental person on Team Channel Fireball for getting testing done. They rely on him for a lot of the limited part of the testing. You know, one of the interesting things I've chatted with him quite a bit about limited. You know, myself being a limited aficionado as well. He likes to watch during their testing, sometimes even more than playing. He'll just wander around and see what people are drafting, see how the decks came together, see how the cards play out, and just sort of absorb information. And that way, you know, he's essentially getting 8 times the info that he would be if he was just sitting in his own seat, or maybe at least another 4 times because he does get to see his opponent's deck. But interesting stuff.
Yeah. I mean, just that amount of information intake is super important when you're trying to solve a format quickly.
Right. So a little bit of a misshuffle there from Tad, but good sportsman there.
That's a good way to handle it.
Yeah, he looked up in the air and he said, I think I might have flipped one of your cards. I don't want to look at it. And it sounds like a small thing, but it's true. You know, he doesn't get a chance to look at any of Ben's sideboarded cards, and if some key sideboarded card flipped up, it would be pretty awkward because he's not supposed to have access to that information. So really, really good of him to just be extra safe about it, look up, and let Ben fix it real quick before any information was exposed. That's a professional play there from Tad for sure.
Zathar Necromancer is so good in this matchup.
It really is.
We've watched it time and time again.
We have. It's Ben Stark. I mean, he's going to be leaning on it pretty hard here, right?
I mean, he's against Golgari Charms. He's going to need to.
Yeah. But it's so amazing against Golgari Charm because you can actually just replace your whole team. Right? I mean, he's got, 5 humans and a Necromancer or whatever, and your opponent, Golgari Charms, is like, sure, I get 5 zombies or whatever. Like, yeah, it's so good in this matchup. The awkward part about it, though, is that it's a 3-drop and he's on the play, so he's going to need to play out his creatures first. He can't just wait for that to be his first play very often. We'll see how this plays out. Tad Macaraeg's going to be on the play, and this is a decider, potentially for a top 8 slot. It's really close either way, and we're going to have to be patient and see. Ooh, right off the top, Zathra Necromancer. We just talked about it, and there's a Soldier of the Pantheon to start. All right, what does Tad have? Doesn't have Black Man on the table yet. Now he does. Are we going to see a Pack Rat? No, Devour Flesh. All right, so get that creature out of here right now. Though that Soldier does get in for 2 via that Overgrown Tomb, and a Scryland for Ben Stark followed up by a Dryad Militant. So not too bad for Ben. I mean, if Tad wants to 1-for-1 him for a while, Ben can weather that storm. It's when he starts getting 2-for-1 and 3-for-1 that it gets ugly. Speaking of getting ugly, there's a Nightveil Spectre, and that's going to be a big issue. It looks like Ben Stark has a Banisher Priest in hand.
Yep.
And the question is just, does he fire that off now? Is he patient and he plays the Necromancer first? Because that way, if his priest dies, he gets at least some value out of it. There you go. What this means, though, is that he doesn't get to attack now, and the Nightveil Spectre is going to get a chance to get in there potentially. The question is, if Ben thinks that Tad is not going to attack with it, then the Necromancer makes much, much more sense. Ooh,
definitely. Now he's definitely attacking.
Now he's for sure attacking. So he loses 2 but gains 2. And there's a Plains off the top. That could come in handy later. It's always nice to have that land drop, though at this point it feels like Ben's pretty priced into to firing off Banisher Priest here. He is. So he manages to mitigate the threat in a really great way. He keeps Tad from getting any value from the card draw aspect of it. And he also keeps a creature out of the graveyard so that there's no whip possibility. All right, Ben Stark just making sure that that Devour Flesh should be in the yard, and it should. It wasn't the Dryad Militant that it killed, it was the Soldier of the Pantheon, so everything is good there. Whip of Erebos is going to be a huge issue long term. Ben Stark is going to look to shut the door as quickly as humanly possible here. Humanly? No?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
A plus?
A plus. This Whip of Erebos, I mean, it doesn't really have that big of an effect here, but
No, not at the moment. Down the line, it can
any
get
spot
ugly.
removal spell is awesome for Tad, though, because it's essentially, going to kill one of Ben's guys and give Tad back Night Veil Spectre, which trumps Ben's board anyway.
So how important is it for Tad to play such that he leaves a couple of mana open? Because Ben has to respect a removal spell, right?
He really does have to respect the removal spell. But the same thing is that you can't just pass the turn without advancing your board state, because then Ben's just going to keep playing cards and not attacking, and then you'll lose anyway.
Okay, so maybe if Tad can find a play in his hand where he leaves up, say, green-black, but is able to play a 3-drop, that would be ideal?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think leaving open 3 mana is even better.
All right, well, Tad's going to attack with Mutavault first. Obviously, that trade is not accepted by Ben Stark, and it's a 4-point life swing. Thanks to the Whip of Erebos. All right, so here's Farika's Cure while Ben's tapped out. And that's going to get a zombie, but it's also going to give Tad his Spectre back, and that's a huge play there. 1, 2, 3, 4. What does he have? Oh, he has 2 drops. Okay. Daring Skyjack, Imposing Sovereign. Pass. All right, so this is where it starts to get a little more stressful if you're sitting in Ben Stark's seat. This is where it can all slip away.
At a moment's notice.
Yeah, I mean, a few more removal spells out of Tad, and this thing could be done. Again, Tad, he's back up to 20 now. Trigger, Soldier of the Pantheon, but he doesn't have a white mana source. Again, that Plains was exiled because Ben was able to take care of the Night Veil Spectre while it was still under there.
Yeah, Tad had to play land pre-combat that turn that he was able to crack with Night Veil Spectre.
That's right. Now, Tad lets Ben untap because he had some untapped mana anyway, but during his upkeep, he's going to Hero's Downfall to kill Zathrid Necromancer, and then he's going to fire off Golgari Charm to take down both of all 3 of the white creatures here. Ugh. So brutal for Ben Stark. He's left with just a pair of zombies, one of them tapped even. Tad Macaraeg playing very tight here, sequencing everything perfectly, making sure he does it on his opponent's upkeep. That way the zombie's tapped, has Summoning Sickness. That way, if there was a Brave the Elements, he would have to use the mana on it. And there's a Banisher Priest off the top for Ben Stark to take Night Veil Spectre back. So again, Tad Macaraeg with no actual board state here, and he's going to be taking 4. But yeah, you just still got to feel like he's in the driver's seat here. It's weird because, if his hand is bricks, then it's not. But, well, there's a Pack Rat, and that is going to end the game in short order if Ben Stark can't find a way to mitigate it. Remember, Tad Macaraeg's still sitting at 16 life. And Pack Rats are going to have lifelink, so...
Yeah, lifelinking Pack Rats can make really short work of somebody.
Yeah, as early as next turn, he can be attacking for, 12?
Mm-hmm.
So, it could... Oh, okay. The life total got adjusted because the Golgari Charm had shrunk that zombie token. Just a quick update there on why the life totals changed. We have 2 Pack Rats and a Whip of Erebos.
I think an Imposing Sovereign just came down on Ben's side of the table. See the edge of it there.
Uh-huh.
It would have been very good last turn, but right now it's not looking exceptional.
Is Ben considering activating a Mutavault here?
I guess he's probably considering activating Mutavault and sending with everything except the Banisher Priest. And obviously the Summoning 6 Sovereign. Huh, so it looks like you might be activating both Mutavaults? Yeah, so he can get in there for a decent amount of damage.
Okay, he's going to attack for 6 here. That's going to drop Tad down to 11. Ship the turn back. He's left back a zombie and a Banisher Priest. 1 card off the top for Tad, although, you know, ostensibly all of his cards are just pack rats from here on out. It's all he needs to do to win the game is just make a pack rat every turn and have that whip stay on the table. So
you can also activate the Mutavault along with those pack rats.
Mm-hmm. All right, Tad attacks. 2/2/2 rats. Might see a double block here from Ben Stark to take down a rat and try to stem the bleeding here. Interestingly, he double blocks a token. All right. Tap a mana. Make a pack rat. So they're 3/3s now. It's tapped. I'm assuming Mutavault's active. Yep. And one of the rats goes down. So Ben Stark, you know, that's the plan that he had when he attacked last turn. He gets a fresh card off the top here. But it's just so brutal. I mean, now Tad Macaraeg's at 19.
Yeah, and this is what pack rat does. It can just completely take over a game. And in conjunction with that Whip of Erebos, it's just so difficult to race it.
Yeah. And it's just like Ben Stark just can't get his opponent down to 1 pack rat so that he gives himself the opportunity to rip a Banisher Priest or something. The downside to, and this is why Ben double blocked the token, is that if he lets a pack rat get in the graveyard, if Tad has a card in hand and 7 mana, he can actually just get it back with Whip of Erebos, pitch a card, make a copy of pack rat, and then when that pack rat gets exiled, he still has an actual pack rat on the table. It's just not fair at that point.
Not.
It's so nasty.
Whip of Erebos is a really good card. All the equipment are pretty good in general.
Speaking of equipment, here's Spear of Heliod, and that's going to enable an attack here. Now, he can use Spear to start at least mitigating some of this, but, you know, this is the weird thing about pack rat is that, you know, Ben is still trying to be the aggressor, but his life total's at 11, his opponent's at 16, and threatening to attack for a ton more here, another 12. It's going to get kind of ugly for Ben's life total. Like, he can't just sit here and fall behind like this. So.
At this
Things
point,
looking good for Tad.
Yeah, at this point, Tad can just make pack rats on the end step and then activate his Mutavault. There's not really much that Ben can do about it because it's not like Ben has something that can kill multiple pack rats. He can't cast something like Detention Sphere or Supreme Verdict.
All right, so pre-combat.
It's just going to get out of hand.
Pack rat, attack you for 6. Just going to chump block. Activate Mutavault. You take a little bit of extra damage. I gain way more life. So that's going to drop Ben down to 7. And Tad's at a very comfy life total, 24. Draw step for Ben Stark.
I think Ben just trying to run all the possible things that could happen through his head. Just wants to make sure that he's not giving up a game that's winnable.
However unlikely. Yep.
But hey, anything can happen. Your opponent, you know, get a match loss somehow.
Yeah. And Ben's going to attack for 6 damage here. And play a Dryad Militant, pass a turn back. These players are potentially playing for top 8. They're going to be right at the bottom of the top 8, either the bottom of the top 8 or the top of the top 16. We're not 100% sure it's going to be a tiebreakers thing and who drew to who. Interesting. So Tad Macaraeg's actually going to play an Underworld Connections here. No Pack Rat this turn. This actually gives Ben a one-draw window to hit like a Banisher Priest.
Yeah, I guess it does. Huh.
Interesting now. Ben has 2 Mutavaults. Those represent 6 damage. The Banisher Priest represents 3. And the Dryad Militant 3 as well.
Yeah, the major issue now is just the inevitable lifelink.
The whip. All right. And Ben is getting aggressive here, attacking with everything he's got. 3, 6, 9, 12 damage. That's going to drop Tad down to 6. Tad's going to drop down even further to 5 to draw a card here. Wow. Underworld Connections. Is that a Thoughtseize in his hand? No, it's a Pharika's Cure.
It's a good one.
Pharika's Cure can take down one of the Dryad Militants. This is going to get really interesting.
Get the Banisher Priest, right?
No, it's a 3/3.
Yes. In conjunction with something, it can. That Spectre's so good. It looked like Ben had no chance just a few minutes ago.
But then Tad Macaraeg said, you know what, I'm not going to make a Pack Rat this turn. And now all of a sudden, he's in an awkward position here. Ben has drawn reasonably. He's hit spell, spell, spell. I wouldn't call them the best spells in his deck. He's drawn a couple of 1/2s. But he did hit a Spear before that. And he's got 2 Mutavaults. And this is very much a Mutavault deck in many ways.
It especially plays like a Mutavault deck in matchups like this or against control.
Yep.
It's great in this matchup.
Spear plus Mutavault is pretty insane, too. So Tad sitting here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana available on 5 life. Has he put himself in a position here where he can lose this game?
I think he has. I don't see.
He passes the turn.
Interesting.
So he has a Pack Rat activation available, plus a Mutavault activation, plus Underworld Connections. And Ben says, activate, attack with everybody. All right, into the red zone they go. Let's see what Tad comes up with here. We know he's got that Pharika's
steal
Cure.
This game, that's unbelievable.
Was that Underworld Connections a mistake? Let's see what path this leads him down. Tad clearly had a plan. The normal plan when you have the whip and a rat out is to just make a rat every single turn no matter what. But he decided to deviate from that plan. Now he's got 3 rats, 2 Pack Rats, and a Mutavault. And he's going to block a Mutavault, a Banisher Priest, and one of the Dryad Militants here. And I think damage is just going to happen here. So Pack Rat is gone, and he doesn't have enough mana to do the whip trick with it either. But it is going to leave him with not a terrible position here at 7 life, and with the Night Veil Spectre facing down 2 Mutavaults and a Dryad Militant, with Ben Stark also at 7 life. Wow.
Yeah, this is a nail biter at this point.
No kidding. Whoa.
Ooh, it's an aggressive course of action, Mr. Macaraeg.
I mean, I'm sure he'd like to jump up to 9 and potentially draw a card. He really just wanted to hit those land drops, but he's played that Underworld Connections, and he hasn't activated it yet.
He activated it once.
Oh, did he?
The turn he cast it.
Oh, okay. So he activated it once, but he didn't activate it last turn. Whip, get back Spectre, attack with both. This seems perfectly reasonable. It could potentially draw him a couple of cards. He's going to kill the non-whip Spectre after damage, but it's going to put him back up to 11. So Ben Stark clearly wants to kill the one that isn't going to be exiled by the whip anyway. But they need to make sure that they know which is which. So they're just going to decide beforehand, this is the one that I whipped back, and this is the one that's sticking.
And that makes sense. I mean, they're both the same card.
I mean, they're not, because they're going to have something else underneath them, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
after this turn, they will not be, but you can basically choose which one is, a whipped one and which one is.
Yes. And really,
Because if you hit
Ben
a
has to
two,
kill
drop
the
off the
not
whipped
whipped one, even no matter what it has under it. Okay, so he did exactly that, and we have got a real game here. Oh, land off the top, though, for Ben. Scryland, though, he sees Dark Betrayal on top of his library.
Is that a keep?
Tad's at 11, but he could take 9 damage and be down to 2 this turn.
And Dark Betrayal is.
And then Tad can
Pretty
get
good.
back Night Veil Spectre, attack for 2, pit Ben to 1. Wow, this is really close. Tad even has room to use his Underworld connections if he wants here to go to 1. Mutavault, bash you. He knows, he's just making sure he's not taking lethal. He's got a pack rat and a couple of specters in there or something, so, and he's going to use it, go down to 1. Tad's going to draw his card for the normal card for the turn here. He found a removal spell. He finds another Underworld Connections, which isn't going to do anything here, but he does have a Devour Flesh in his hand.
This is so tight.
This is so close.
And this is it. Like, the winner of this is likely in top 8.
Right.
Because it looks like the other match did play. So now
This one's live.
this one is live. Of course, there's always an outside chance one of these guys ends up at 9th, which would be
Sure.
terrible, but
Number 1 ranked player in the world, Ben Stark versus Tad Macaraeg. Tad has Farika's Cure. That's going to take down the only targetable threat right now, but it's also going to leave Tad with another removal spell in hand. And it's going to gain him 2 life, which is huge here. The 2 life is big
2 life is really big here.
because he's going to be able to be even now if he uses Devour Flesh on his opponent's turn. And his other option is to bring back a Night Veil Spectre, but he can't do that. He'll just die. So he says activate, attack. But this is going to bump Ben Stark back up to 6 and give him a bit of a cushion from that whip.
Mm-hmm.
We have got a game here,
Back
kids.
and forth, my friends.
So there's Devour Flesh.
That's
Target
it,
you.
right?
No, it should be even, right? Oh, that should be it. You're
Yeah,
right.
that's it.
Totally it.
Yeah, Devour Flesh makes Ben gain a life.
That's right, of course. He can, and Tad has nothing to target for himself.
Nope.
Did Ben Stark just win this?
Yep.
They're talking about it right now. We're not signing slips, but he's got 3 lethal damage incoming right now. All right, looks like Ben's explaining what he's doing here. And that's it. Ben Stark
Wow.
is victorious. He won the game
Unbelievable.
that we didn't think he could win.
I didn't even think he could win. Like, I had checked out.
Yeah.
Basically, I was like, this is over.
And the turning
And
point
then-
was when Tad played Underworld Connections and didn't make a rat, right? I mean,
Yeah.
am I reading that correctly?
Yes, that is absolutely the turning point of that game.
Unbelievable.
Ben Stark
just
wins 2-1.
Squeaks one out against Tad Macaraeg and puts himself in a good position to be in the top 8 here.
Imagine if Ben had lost that game because he didn't gain that 1 life of the Soldier of the Pantheon on turn 1.
And
Or
it
turn 2.
almost came to that.
Yeah, it almost came to that.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Throwing out those hypotheticals. I mean, he played awesome.
Wow. And it looks like we just got a handshake on our other match here. And I'm told that Eric won. So that's Eric Centauri I believe, on the left side.
And Charles Lancaster. No, Charles Lancaster's on the left.
Charles Lancaster
Yeah,
is on the
Charles
left.
has been around forever.
Okay.
Yeah.